Now, chapter 7. If you hadn't been paying attention in this chapter, you definitely need to go back and read it because chapter 7 is certainly one of the most important chapters in Animal Farm. Lots of big, big things happen in this chapter. Uh, for one, I think you start to see the descent of the government really starting to slide away, particularly as the animals start going, well, wait a second, and they start kind of questioning what they've already seen. Boxer is a great example of this because he actually starts standing up for Snowball. He says, but no, wait, like, I saw it with my own eyes. He was a hero. And by the end of the chapter, he's really not so sure anymore. And his solution is what? What his solution always is, to work harder. Is that the right solution? When you know that something isn't going well, is the solution to just keep forging ahead, or is the solution to maybe try and change something? I find it really interesting, and I think maybe it might do you some good to research some of the history of communism and how this actually functions in a government. But you start to see people turning their backs on things that they know to be true when they're feeling pressured by society. It's one of the reasons why peer pressure is such a big issue in schools these days, why bullying is even possible, because that mass appeal, when people start doing things as a group, the stuff that you thought you knew to be true and the stuff that you thought you could stand up for is really quite hard to stand up for when you're by yourself. Not that I want to encourage you to go with the group, by the way, because I think this book is a great example of not going with the group because it leads to kind of crazy, it's just nuts results. Another thing that I want to point out to you at the very end of the chapter is that the animals point out, and I'll just read it to you. Instead, she did not know why, and this is Clover, by the way, who's thinking. She said, indeed, she did not know why. They had come to a time when no one dared speak his mind, when fierce growling dogs roamed everywhere, and when you had to watch your comrades torn to pieces after confessing to shocking crimes. There was no thought of rebellion or disobedience in her mind. She knew that, even as things were, they were far better off than they had been in the days of Jones. And I remember reading that for the first time and just being a little bit shocked that the facts could be staring somebody, or in this case an animal, in the face, and you could know very, very clearly that really horrible things were happening, but you had been brainwashed so firmly into believing that things were still better. When Clover had lived when Mr. Jones was the farmer, and she knew for herself. I think that's one of the reasons why many of you who are religious should hold on to the beliefs that your family has taught you, because they give you something to rely on when other things around you are in chaos. The world of Animal Farm is in chaos. So for this part of the chapter, I think it would be really good for you to talk with your parents or talk with your friends about some of the experiences they've had when what they know to be true has helped them to get out of situations where other people or the senses around them or the experience that they had had maybe started to help them, or maybe not really help them, but convince them that they should doubt what they knew to be true, even though they knew it was true, and how they maybe got back to that complete knowledge from and escape the tortures. I hope that makes sense. Basically, I want you to make sure that you talk to somebody about a time when they doubted something they knew and how they got back to that knowledge and escaped the temptation of believing something against their knowledge. I hope that makes sense.